This is the Process Shot. I'm Michael, I'm stuck in a haunted theater, and I've seen Design for Living, a romantic comedy from 1933 directed by Ernst Lubitsch. It's centered on a group of three friends: George, a struggling playwright who is in love; Tom, an equally struggling artist who is also in love; and Gilda, a woman who is successful in her work, but whose struggle is having to choose between her two potential suitors. With the three getting nowhere in that regard, they come to a gentleman's agreement and choose to keep things professional. Trouble arises when George, with Gilda's help, moves to London when one of his scripts is given a production, and Tom and Gilda break the agreement. The group dynamic of the three friends is probably the most important element of the film's story, and it's their relationship that drives it forward from the start. Despite the confusion and frustrations that come about from their agreement, the three are able to retain a camaraderie over time, even after the pact is broken. Tom and George in particular are able to find common ground time and time again despite their differences, and they don't let their arguments divide their friendship. It's also notable how Gilda takes the initiative throughout the film. While she's also the central object of Tom and George's rivaling affections, she is equally as infatuated with the two men, but is able to handle both their advances and her own feelings with ease and temperance, taking up a more independent and authoritative role in their lives, beyond simply being a person of interest, by giving them the feedback and motivation that they need to improve their artwork. Overall, the three characters are able to navigate their conflicts without losing their likability. And again, this group dynamic is more or less the backbone of Design for Living. The story and plotting of the film is tightly compacted around this relationship, driving its events from scene to scene without straying into some other story thread. It's actually not easy to talk about the story in this regard, at least not without spoiling anything. But needless to say, it's a story designed around this idea, and it's written well, with a natural sense of time and progression. On that note, the dialogue of the movie is also handled well, with a sharp wit and a general snappiness. There are some points where it leads some of the characters to sound alike, as though their dialogue could be swapped, and it wouldn't make a difference. Otherwise, there are still distinctive voices to be had, even among the less prominent supporting characters, and there are a great deal of memorable or quotable one-liners. As for any deeper themes, while there are a few instances that remark upon the double standards for men and women caught up in romantic affairs, there isn't necessarily a strong message to be made, though I suppose that any morality being put into play here would be more distracting than helpful. On a technical level, Design for Living takes a bit of a backseat here. Cinematography is pretty plain, keeping things visible, but rarely, if ever, taking any major creative risks. Editing and pacing of the film is steady, never rushing anything, and giving the film and its audience a chance to breathe. Set pieces are impressive and detailed as well, though it would have been nice to see more of them in general. Overall, it stays out of the way of the story, eschewing technical prowess for the wittiness of the dialogue. And that pretty much seems to have been the primary goal for Design for Living. The movie doesn't try to make a point or push a message through to its audience, keeping focused on the comedy over all else. It's not completely refined, but neither is the subject matter, and it's not something which detracts from the film as a whole. You probably wouldn't even notice. Design for Living. Ernst Lubitsch, 1933. 4.5 stars. I absolutely recommend seeing this if you can. And that's the end of the review. Leave a like or a comment if you want. I think I have enough videos uploaded that I can also say to check out other reviews as well. So there's that if you want.